Thank you for joining Scriptwriting and Story Design FMA info session. We will have a very brief introduction. Michael Kutash will talk about program overview. I will continue with the admissions and funding. And the end, we will have the questions and answers. So I just mentioned we have Graduate Program Director Michael Kutash joining us today. For the program administration team, myself, Ilini, I have Marnie Gerbet, Tonisha Boyle, and Manager Administration, Daniel Garcia. You will get a chance to work with them once you're in the program. Michael, over to you.
In the meantime, I want to share a land acknowledgement as we begin our session. The university is situated on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Anishinaabe, including its present-day stewards, the Mississaugas of the New Credit Nation. New Credit First Nation. Oh, thank you, Elaine. This territory is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe. Subsequent Indigenous nations and newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. It binds us all to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, in the gathering place of Toronto, a Haudenosaunee word that means where the trees meet the water, is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. And we're grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community and on this territory. We acknowledge our responsibility to reflect on the spirit of this treaty and our obligations to the territory's original hosts. We refuse the colonial forces that undermine, distort, and erase the vital role of Indigenous peoples in our world. And in sort of framing that with what the MFA is all about, the MFA is a program that's about storytelling at its core. And I think we should all, when we're acknowledging the land that we're on and the people that came before today, that this is a land full of stories, and every land is full of stories. It's full of history, full of people who've come and gone and who live here currently, who told their stories, who've experienced their lives in this place. And I think that we owe it to ourselves to think about that in our craft, to think about where we're standing and all the richness that is imbued in the territory that we stand on and we live in now. Thanks for that. And moving on to our next slide. The Scriptwriting MFA is located within a larger structure of graduate schools called the Yates School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies here at TMU. And there's a bunch of different schools. There's a documentary media program. There's 47 master's programs, as a matter of fact, in the Yates School, 21 PhD programs, which is a huge growth spurt since I've been teaching here 20 years ago. And you see our particular program, the MFA, is located within something called the Creative School, which used to be called the Faculty of Communication and Design, and is now a much more interesting name called the Creative School. And the MFA itself is combined of three undergraduate schools to form this program. The RTA School of Media, which is my home base, the School of Image Arts, which includes film and photography, and the School of Performance, which is theater, stage, and all that. So three schools have come together to make this interesting, nimble school called the MFA in Scriptwriting and Story Design. So I'm going to walk you through the program. You've probably seen this on the website, so you can take a quick look at these when you get a chance. If you haven't already, there's year one, and then the next slide says year two. But what I want to do is share with you the timeline of what this whole program looks like over 2 years. And I'm going to replace your share, if that's okay, Elaine, with my awesome flowchart. Okay, everybody can see that. I hope.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I call it awesome because it's probably not all that great. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm a script designer and a story designer. But you can see what I've got here is basically a layout of year one through year two. And let's go into it. Let's drill down into a little bit. I'll sort of zoom in a little bit here. Use my fancy keys. In year one in the fall, this would be your busiest term right here in this first column, fall term, with 3 courses, SD 8010, 8011, and 8012. Scripted elements of scripted storytelling, script analysis, and research methods are the 3 that you'll be taking in the first term of your program. The course descriptions, you can read them. They tend to be broad and general, mostly, in order for us to be able to do multiple things inside those courses. And in these blue balloons, I've kind of given you what the courses are really about. So script writing and the elements of scripted storytelling is really about the foundational elements of story design for script writers at a master's level. We talk about story worlds, characters, thematics, all those kinds of things, and developing themes, story world characters for student projects in that course. In that course, you're going to be writing something right from day one. Through the 12 weeks of the program. So that's going to be a very creative course for you, where you not only learn how to pitch, but also how to develop a project in a very short period of time, and how to give and take notes, because we use it as a story room for most of the weeks of the course. You're sitting down, reading other people's work, and you're commenting on it with guidance in terms of how to give and take notes. Script analysis is exactly that. Think of this course as how a writer negotiates the story you want to tell with the form you've got and the content that you want to work with. So it deals with the nature of scripted decisions, looks at case studies of scripts and how they got to be where they were for the final product, and also the mechanics and stylistics of script construction, which you're all writers, I hope, of scripted pieces, and you know how rigorous that can be, how complex that can be. So this course really takes you through looking at projects that aren't necessarily things that you would engage in out of your own comfort zone, but it takes you out of that comfort zone. And that's going to be a theme of the whole program, where you might say, I'm only going to write feature films, I'm only going to write theater, I'm only going to write series television. Well, this program will make you nimble and will make you write in other platforms, study other platforms, and other ways of doing things in scripted storytelling. And that's what this course introduces you to. Research methods, SD 8012, is exactly that. It is a course that will show you how to work with research in a scripted storytelling environment. It's really about becoming an expert enough to employ creative license in the writing of a script. Think about it as, I went to the play playing Shylock last night with Saul Rubnik, and he said it more eloquently than I could. He said, isn't all storytelling and acting, from his point of view, isn't it all appropriation? And he kind of looked at the audience and everyone gasped, because the word appropriation gets a very bad rap these days. But what he explained and said was, when I'm a performer, I'm pretending to be somebody else. How can I authentically pretend to be somebody else unless I've understood perhaps where they're coming from? Research methods in a creative sense is really about that. You might get hired in the future to write a script that has nothing to do with your cultural background or your experiences. Happens all the time. But having been at the CBC many years and other places before, I came to TMU. We did that all the time. We would hire writers who would research the material in order to be conversant enough and immerse themselves enough in that world to be able to tell that story with some kind of authority. So that's really the nature of that kind of research. And you can see on the bottom, I've got how your thesis project is going to develop. This looks much simpler than it is, but it's much more complicated. You sort of start to do your early design and develop through the 2 years that you're here, the 6 terms. Getting into the winter term of year 1, you've got a course that's really going to get you out of your comfort zone, called Writing for Visual Media. This course is about developing agility and confidence to tell stories across media. If you've ever thought of writing a game, well, you're going to. If you ever thought of writing a play and haven't, you're going to. You ever thought of writing something that's an immersive experience? You're going to do it here too. The main difference with this MFA and other programs that are out there is exactly that. Its ability to give you agility and nimbleness in writing scripts in all different platforms. And this course really speaks to that process quite intensely. Another comfort zone smasher is acting and directing for writers. If you're an introvert, as most writers are, let's face it, this course is going to have you act and direct your writing and other people's writing. We have pros from the performance school who teach this class, and they will show you how to act out scenes. They will help you learn how to direct scenes. And you say, I don't want to be an actor. I don't want to be a director. That's fine. You don't have to be, but you're going to have to work with these people in the future if you're a script writer. Not only that, learning how to talk to writers, how to talk to directors, but also experience what they've done to get where they are in their craft, and also how they can enhance the script itself. No writer that I know that is successful looks at actors like people that get hired and then they just execute your script, or directors are there just to do what you told them to do. It's a very creative environment, lots of collaboration, and that's what this course is really about, helping you enhance your own skills through considering performance and directing in your own writing. When you get into the spring term, no classes, but you'll be working hard on your thesis at that point, your thesis script. We'll talk about that later as well. This course is about ramping up the development for students' major projects. You will have an advisor by then, who will be the main person that helps you through the process of developing your script, whatever platform it's going to be. And we have professors who work at all these platforms. The goal typically by the end of the summer, spring, summer of your first year, is to have a really solid outline as you get into the fall term. The reason why we like that is because down here at SD 8015 Graduate Seminar 1 is where you, along with your cohort and a professor to guide you, will develop your thesis project through 12 weeks of rigorous writing, note giving, and development. So every student will be tabling their writing. Tabling, by that I mean presenting the writing, have others read the cohort, and give notes. Very intense, and it's all about your thesis project, that course. SD 8017 Contemporary Practices. This is where our writer in residence teaches the course, and uses their experience in the world of script writing and story design and imparts that to you, things they've done in their lives, their career advice they've got, all those different kinds of aspects of how they got to be what you might consider a pro in this world. Our most recent writer in residence was Adam Agoyan. He was unable to continue for this year, but he taught that course twice and basically imparted his knowledge to our cohort. And we're looking for a writer in residence now to take over, and I will announce that soon, I hope. In the winter term of your second year, as you head towards graduation and finishing your thesis, you've got 8016 down there at the bottom, Graduate Seminar 2. That takes the work you've done in the fall in Graduate Seminar 1 and pushes it even further through the script process till you get to a point, hopefully by April, where you're close to being able to present your script as a defendable thesis. And that's really your major portion of your thesis project, is the script that you're writing. And it takes a lot of work, as you all know, to write a feature, to write a pilot, to write a game, to write a play, whatever it's going to be, it's got to be at a master's level. So you're working very intensely in that over the winter term as well, along with your supervisor and the cohort that you're with, giving you notes along the way. SD 8018 is the business of script writing and story design. That prepares you for when you get out there and work as a writer and seek work as a writer. The course is really about the industry mechanics and influences that affect the bringing of your scripted works to audiences. Funding, distribution, entrepreneurship, all these things are discussed, including agents and talent representation, what kind of platforms you can use to get your work out there, all that kind of stuff. As you head into the spring term of your final year, you are working really hard to get your thesis to the point where it can be defendable, where you can present it to your graduation, your committee, which is your supervisor and a second reader, and you deliver that hopefully by mid-June. Any later kind of puts a little bit pressure on everybody, but you look to defend your script, present your script, and defend it by the time you've hit mid-July to late July. To hit the graduation mark by the first week or so of August. By graduation mark, I mean you've got all your material in place. It's been defended and approved for graduation, which the actual walking across the stage part takes place in October, but there's lots of things that have to be done before you're basically given the thumbs up to graduate. So that is my awesome flowchart of how you work your way through the MFA. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. I'm gonna reshare again and then continue to talk about admissions and funding. I will invite Michael to talk about admissions requirements. All right. To begin with, I'd like to introduce Yates School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, short in YSGPS. A lot of you may familiar with the website. It has tons of information. YSGPS oversees all the graduate programs, including administration, admissions, marketing, promotions, scholarships, and funding, and much more. For any general questions, such as unofficial transcripts, English language proficiency, or application portal issues, you can reach out to gradhelp@torontomu.ca. If you have any specific questions about the program, the curriculum, the project, the admission requirements for the non-academic components, feel free to reach out to the program email, MFA scriptwriting@torontomu.ca. For application deadlines, for domestic applicants, we have first consideration deadline, January 20. We will review applications shortly after this date, aiming to issue the first batch of offers sometimes at end of February or early March. One advantages of submitting your complete application by January 20 is if you are eligible for any scholarships competition, we will include your admissions application for competition. After January 20, we still accept applications until the program is full. For international applicants, we have priority consideration deadline, December 1st, less than a month for now. We are going to review international applications right after December 1st, and we are aiming to issue out the offers hopefully by the third week of December, right before the Christmas break. If you're an international applicant, if you have everything ready, be sure to submit the application by December 1st. We still accept applications after December 1st, but that's based on if we still have seats in the program with January 20. Depending on the number of applications we receive, how competitive the applicants, and if we have the seats filled and we have a couple of applicants on our wait list, we will close the international application portal, and that would be sometime early than March 15. Same advantage for as domestic applicants. If you are eligible for certain scholarship competition, if you submit an application by January 20, we are able to include your admissions application for competition. For the application process, we have two steps. Step 1, you need to submit an online application through the Ontario University Application Center, OUAC. The platform is totally separated from TMU. You need to submit an online application. It asks you about your personal status, all your post-secondary education backgrounds, and your 2 referees information. TMU will send the reference instruction and submission link to your referee after you've done step 1. With 2 to 3 business days, you will also receive the online identity information and your student ID number from TMU. From there, you can upload your, you can create your online application portal and upload the required documents once it's ready. The key here is the early you start step 1, you provide as much time as possible for your referees to prepare to write you a reference. Ideally, you have already talked to your referees when they receive an email from TMU about instruction to submit a reference on your behalf, so there's no surprise there. Okay, I'm going to invite Michael to talk about admissions requirements.
Sure. Thanks, Elaine. So yeah, you probably have read this online and you're wondering, what does all this mean? Academic requirements is pretty straightforward. We do look at GPA for sure, and it's not necessarily the one deal breaker in an application. We like to see a strong GPA, but because script writing is very much a creative pursuit. We look at the other things in the package that you submit, including your statement of interest. It is exactly this in that statement of interest. We want to have you talk about your motivations for pursuing this program, your major writing project. The word research is really, it's a major project, not necessarily research, although you will be kind of researching as you write creatively. Talk about your previous studies and experience, how it applies to what you want to do, perhaps, your future career objectives, and how you think this program will help you in all that. The main question I get asked for the statement of interest is, when I say, what's my major project going to be for the MFA, am I stuck with that? The answer is no. We're just looking for you to tell us what you think you might want to pursue writing in this MFA, a feature film, a series, a play, a game, whatever it is. And more times than not, that changes over the course of the time that you're in the program, especially after the fall semester. Because that fall semester, as you saw in my flow chart, is very intense. And when you get into the course that's called Elements of Scripted Storytelling, you're forced to write something in 12 weeks. And that often gets the creative juices flowing for a lot of people in the program. And they think, I think I might want to change my thesis project. Can I do that? And the answer is, of course you can. The time when you don't want to change your thesis project is probably the fall of your second year. That might be a little bit late to do that. But you do have the opportunity to take several courses, including writing for visual media, which might expose you to another platform and say, maybe I want to write this platform instead of what I thought. So students will often coalesce their idea kind of partway through the winter term. Some are very sure from the start of what they want to do, and that's fine. But some will modify, change, grow, depending on the courses that they've taken and what they've been exposed to. Your resume, I'd like you to highlight, the committee would like you to highlight your previous studies and experiences and really showcase what makes you a good candidate for the program. If your undergraduate degree isn't exactly in the area of script writing, but related, that's totally fine. We have students from all different disciplines in the MFA. What we're looking for is an indication that you've worked in the scripted world in some way or another. Doesn't mean professionally that you've been hired to write a script or paid to write a script, because that doesn't happen very often, as we all know, in this field. But we've had candidates who've come through, say, with a poli-sci major, but they're stand-up comedian. That tells me that, yeah, you know how to put a script together. You know how to write for an audience, even though you may not have a feature film in your back pocket that you've written years ago. So highlight those kinds of experiences. And if you have any questions about, does this relate in terms of my experience, and would it be looked upon favorably in the MFA, please reach out to me with that question. You might want to ask me at the end of the session as well. I'd be happy to answer that as well. If you want, anytime between now and the application deadline, you can reach out and say, hey, Kutanj, I did this. Is this something that could be interesting on my resume, or something I could talk about in my statement of interest? And those two things can be related to each other, the statement of interest and the resume. If you, in your statement of interest, just have one line saying, yeah, I did some stand-up. Okay, great. But expand on that a little bit in your statement of interest. And you might put that in your resume as well as the one line of experience, but you can expand upon it in your statement of interest, your experience. Elaine talked about the letters of recommendation. People often ask me, can they both be from people I work for? Well, yeah, we want to see at least one academic reference, please, because that tells us that you've gone through the program and people think that you're a good student. That really helps us in selecting our candidates. That's not to say you can't have someone who's in the industry be one of your references as well as the academic. 2 academic references, totally fine as well. The sample of work. I get a lot of questions about this as well, but it is exactly as stated is what we're ideally looking for. Creative written work. If you've got a play, a film script, a television or series script, or something equivalent to that in a different format, that's what we'd like to see. If you don't have a script necessarily, that second bullet, 2 samples of story outlines or treatments, that tells us that you've written something in the scripted world, because that's a phase of script development. And finally, 1 sample of a story outline or treatment, plus a critical exploration of a character or narrative style, or perhaps some paper you've written in your undergraduate that talks about the script writing world in some way, shape, or form. If I were to rank those, I would rank those exactly as you see them there. The first thing we'd like to see is a script of some kind. We want to know that you've written something that you can navigate the form and the content and all that. If you're worried about the quality of your script, and this is not the work, it's not finished. I'm worried that the committee, the professors are going to read it and think it's not ready to shoot. Put your mind at ease. Okay. We are not looking for you to send us the next script that's going to get made in the next year. We all are script writers as well as professors. We know what it takes to write a script. We also have worked on scripts and worked with very high profile writers on their scripts and seen how long it takes to get, say, a feature or a pilot or something onto the screen. So we want to know that you've done this. We're not looking for you, as I say, to have something that's going to blow us away in terms of its marketability or ability to be shot next week. We're looking for voice, we're looking for experience, those kinds of things. I hope that's clear. I've got a question here. I have a story, not a script. Is it Rana? I'm pronouncing it right. If it's prose, that would sort of fall into the treatment area. So you can probably tell where that sort of ranks. A script is probably the best form. I'm not saying you can't submit a story. A story will tell us that you can tell a story. A script tells us that you've got experience in script writing. And the goal of the MFA is to sort of take your skills in script writing and really push you into the next level, if that makes sense. So, I mean, you could send in a script, but you could send in a story, but if you have a script, it's probably going to cut through the application process a lot more quickly. I have a script. Karine says, I have a script that I produced. Should I also submit that completed work with the script or just the script? Just the script would be fine. The fact that it's produced is fantastic. You can note that in your statement of interest. But I just want to read the script. I don't necessarily want to see the final product, because for us in the world of the MFA, we're all about what's on the page, even though we are people who work in production as well. But we do want to see that script. What is the length of the script you can submit? Short film or feature film? Feature film is sort of the top of that rung. One full script and a feature film script is 90 to 110 pages, sometimes more. A pilot for a series these days, considering streaming, could be anywhere from 30 to 65, 70, 80 pages. Short film, totally fine. If you've written a short film and you want to have that as your sample, send it in. We've all written and read short films as well. If it's 5 pages, that's probably not the longest piece that we want to see. I'd say aim for 15 to 30 pages if you've got it. We've got pilot and 2 episodes of a series. Pilot or all 3 episodes is best. Pick the one script that you think is the best. If you send us 3 scripts, we'll pick one for you. So I would say you pick the script. I hope that answers your question. Does the sample have to be produced, or can it be something written specifically? Emma, yes, it can be written just for the application. Does not have to be produced, because to get a script produced is a very difficult thing to do. Take it from me and everyone on the call, I'm sure. If your script is shorter than 15, should I submit a second one then? If you have one, Karine, if you have, say, your less than 15-page script and another one that's sort of shorter as well, and you've got 2, great. Like 2 short films would be fine as well. Okay, great. Any other
Okay.
questions about the sample of work? We do not give feedback on the samples of work, Henri. The reason is we're just evaluating it for admission into the MFA. For us to give notes is, well, it's kind of impossible given our timing constraints and the number of applications we get. And also it kind of, how do I say, industry-wise, it's not really something that we kind of do. I'd hate to sort of steer someone in a direction by giving them notes on a script without having sort of a proper relationship with that writer, if that makes sense. Nayla, I have an admissions question. I have undergrad in accounting, but I've been writing scripts my whole life. Yes, you are encouraged to apply. As an accountant, that means you can be a writer and producer at the same time. How do you like that for a joke? It's not a joke, it's true. so many writers have undergraduate degrees in other disciplines, lawyers, accountants, sciences, psychology. It's nice to have an undergraduate degree in the script writing or media area, but the fact that you've been writing scripts, that's what you talk about in your statement of interest. Tell me about that. Tell us about that in your CV. We'll see that you've got an undergraduate degree. We'll see your GPA. Tells us you're a good student. And the fact that you've been writing scripts your whole life and you send us a sample, that's what we need to see. That's what we need to see in terms of if you have the aptitude, that word, for the MFA in script writing. The last thing we want, everyone, is to have someone come into the program who doesn't really know much about script writing at all. That's not because we don't like you, but it's because you're not going to be successful in the program. If you don't have a lot of script writing experience, even on the side, on your own, never produced, that's totally fine. If you have no idea what the script world is like, you will probably get left behind very quickly, because most of the people in the room, in fact, all of them who get into the program, will know what a script is. We just start from there. So it's a very advanced type of program in terms of that. An MES. Robbie, what's an MES? MES, but no bachelor's. Master of Environmental Science? Am I getting that right? Where's Robbie? I don't, okay. Resume question. I've done writing. This is Justine. Writing, acting, behind the scenes work. Okay to include a resume that has all of these experience? I would say all of them, because as you saw in our course descriptions, acting and directing for writing is a course in the program. If you've been acting and behind the scenes work on productions or things like that, really, yes, that's directly related to what we want to see. Master of Environment, Robbie. Okay, so you have a master's degree but no bachelor. How did that happen?
I guess I could speak, but I don't want to take up time.
Oh,
York has a program where they admit special students if you can prove equivalency, which I succeeded in doing. So
okay.
I have many undergraduate degrees, or not degrees, courses in many different things, but it never added up to a bachelor's.
Yeah, the fact that you've got a master's would sort of tell me that yes, if York University granted you put you in a master's program, that you have the equivalent of a bachelor's. So I would say yes, a master's is considered a higher degree or a more advanced degree than a bachelor's. So yeah, the answer is yes. The short answer. We've got Alice. Should the samples of story outlines or treatments be for the scripts we submit, or can they be for other unrelated projects? Yeah, I would say I want to see the script. If you've got an outline and a script, I want the script. The outline, wonderful that you did it, but I don't want to read two different development phases of the same project. So if you have a script and it's like a short film, then maybe you add an outline or a treatment from an unrelated project. So if it's a longer script, like a feature or a pilot for a series, just that one script will do. If it's a short script, that's another thing you can do, right? If it's a short script, like a short film or something, and you think, well, it's only 15, 20 pages, submit that and then say, but I've got a outline or treatment for another project, add that into. Does that help? Yeah. Does that help, Alice? Cool. Other questions about samples of work, the application? Megan, should we be sticking to scripts we wrote individually, or would a co-written script be accepted? Co-written would be accepted. Rather see your name only on it, only because it's definitely your voice and your voice alone. There's no question as to who contributed what. Don't get me wrong. So many writers out there work in teams. If you work on a series, you know that it's not just you. But if you've got a script with your name and your name only on it, that's probably preferred. But if your favorite script, your best script is one that you've co-written with somebody, then you absolutely can submit that. And I would say in your statement of interest, explain. Just say, yeah, you'll see that it's a double credit, and you'll say, this was my contribution. This is my person that I write with, etc. Hope that answers the question. Justine, how about story by two people but written all by me? Sure. So the story's by two people, but you wrote the script? Justine, you can unmute yourself too.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Yeah. It was, basically what you just said. We kind of conceptualized the story together, but I wrote all of the
Yeah,
script.
absolutely. Yeah, and the title page, if it was like something you'd submit to a producer, would say, written by Justine S. Harrison, story by Justine S. Harrison, and other person.
Okay.
Totally
Cool.
fine. Happens all the time. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Great. Lots of questions. If
Yeah,
you
lots of
still have
questions.
questions, yeah, just keep them coming.
Right, we've
I'm
got a few
gonna,
more to go through, right, Elaine? So I'll
yeah.
mute myself for a bit, and then we can do more in the Q&A later.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I will continue with the funding questions, funding information, and then we will go right back to the question again. For the funding, we have admissions awards. This is internal. You don't need to submit an application. It's awarded based on your admissions application. We have three types admissions awards. First one is Toronto Metropolitan Graduate Fellowship, TMGF. This is for domestic applicants. It's value from 2,000 to 6,000. We have a second one, Toronto Metropolitan Graduate Development Award, TMGDA. This is for international applicants, same value. Then we have one Ontario Graduate Fellowship, OGF, 12,000. We will award to a one top domestic candidate. In addition, we have program awards. Once you're in the program, when the awards application portal opens, and we will notify you by email so you can apply. We also have a bridging device entrance scholarship. This one, and they have a limit number of stipends to full-time master degree students. If your research topic is related to one of the bridging device for research themes, I will share the link later on. For example, if your research topic is related to immigration, health, and well-being, or employment and lifelong learning, or place and infrastructure, or citizenship and participation. I will share that link right now, so you can bookmark the pages and you can check out them later. For master students, domestic, the award is up to 20,000 per year. For international, it's up to 30,000 per year. This stipend is renewable for up to 2 years. Scriptwriting is a 2 years program. Subject to annual review of the student progress and the availability of the funds. The application deadline is April 1st, 2025. So you apply for this, and it's available for when you join the program in the first year for the fall 2025. We have email address here. Later, I'm going to share in the chat as well. I'm going to also share the research topic, the 4 themes, so you can check in the chat. Continue on, we have external funding. 2 big external funding scholarship. The first one is Ontario Graduate Scholarship, OGS. We have also Toronto Met Graduate Scholarship, TMGS. This is for both domestic and international. It's 50,000 for one academic year. You need to have an A- in each year of your last 2 years of your studies in order to be eligible. If you are eligible, we will include your admissions application for competition. So this is for applicants who submitted a complete application by January 20 application deadline. So if you are eligible, we'll reach out to you in March, in end of February or early March. You will sign a consent form, and then we will have the results in early May. And the second one is Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council Canada Graduate Scholarship, and SHRC. This one is only for domestic applicants. It's 27,000 for one academic year. Same eligibility. You need to have A- in each year in your last 2 years of your studies. This one you need to apply by yourself. The deadline is December 1st. Check your cumulative GPA in each year of your last 2 years. If you're eligible, please apply. In addition, we have a lot of scholarships on the YSGS GPS website. It's categorized by categories. It's all based on your personal status, education backgrounds, and your research topic. Be sure to check out there. We also have external awards. That is the same link on the YSGPS website. Those external awards is categorized by alphabetical order from A to Z. A lot of scholarships there. Be sure to check out there. If you want to work part-time when you're in the program as a full-time student, you can apply for assistantship, graduate assistant or research assistant or teaching assistant. Usually those jobs are available just before the academic year, sometimes in the summer, so you can apply. Throughout the year, we have those opportunities as well from the faculty of image arts, the RTA school, and all other faculties at the university, so you can apply. The last one is Career Boost. They have a lot of part-time opportunities as well, so you can apply and work while you are studying full-time. Okay, so I went through really quickly. Just want to leave some time for us to answer your questions. For the academic questions, curriculum, non-academic components of the portfolio written, creative written work questions, you can connect with Michael. For any other questions, admissions, system issues, submission questions, feel free to reach out to the program. I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other and answer some of your questions. All right.
Any questions for me? You can unmute your microphone and just jump right in, or use the fun hand. Where is it here? The hand reaction.
Michael, did you answer the question from Kareem? I see that question there.
Yep. I wrote back to Kareem.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see there. Okay.
See it. First, we have Justine. Hi.
Hi again. I just had a quick question about the referrals, like the it's been a while since I've been in undergrad program, but I've taken acting classes, and I'm wondering if it's okay if it's someone who's not from my undergrad, who was my teacher, or would you prefer it to be from an undergrad specifically?
I think that if they taught you in the acting school, I think that would be fine. If you have another reference from your undergrad, that'd be great too. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
My pleasure. Robbie?
Just curious, like who is teaching in the program? Are these like tenured staff, sessional staff, a mix? How does that work out?
We have a mix. We've got myself and other professors that you'll see on the faculty page: Leah Langworthy, Michael Comfort. You'll see Cole Lewis. So we try to get full-time faculty from every one of those three schools. James Nadler, myself from RTA, Michael Comfort, Leah Langworthy from Image Arts, Cole Lewis from Performance. We also have really great QP faculty, sessional faculty. We've got Al McGee right now who's teaching two of the courses in the program. If you look up Al McGee, you'll see he's got a credit list about that long, and he's a fantastic mentor, writer, and general human being. Also, Justine Garrett is writing for visual media professor right now. She's an Emmy nominee, Emmy award-winning documentary producer, multi-platform writer. Yeah, so we have really great sessional instructors. We're really very lucky to have them join us for those courses. It helps keep everything fresh, even though the profs try to be as fresh as possible. It's nice to bring in people out there who are coming right from working on something right into the classroom.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm seeing a few questions in the chat. Alice, right? This might be a silly question. There's no question that's silly. But do we need to submit all three for the samples of work, or just choose one of the three options? It's not silly to ask that. Just choose one. And I would say, as you saw in the rankings, I'm not saying that, one is only going to do it, but the top one, a full script, is great. If you don't have a full script, go to number 2. If you don't have that, go to number 3. But yeah, but not all 3. If you did that by mistake, we just picked the script. So, and Karine, Megan, sorry. What are we looking for in students who apply other than just fulfilling the requirements? We're looking for students who have an aptitude for script writing. I mean, that will tell us in your application if you've got that or not. By that, I mean, do you have some experience in the area? Do you have sort of like, have you been working on this for a while? And you can kind of tell in what we look for. We look for your academic average. We look for your statement of interest, your resume, and your sample of work. And when you look at all those things, you can tell pretty quickly if someone sort of woke up one day and said, I think I want to be a scriptwriter, and they just applied, or if someone has actually been doing this for a little while, even if their work or their undergraduate work is in a different area, but on the side they've been writing scripts. I keep saying stand-up comedy, but every year we've had at least one person who might be a political scientist, but they're doing stand-up, or they're doing some kind of live theater or something like that. And to me, that says, yes, you're in that world, and you could do well in this program. I hope that helps. I mean, also, yeah, that's sort of what we're looking for in terms of people. And I guess they do fulfill the requirements, but that's what the requirements sort of tell us about the person, if that helps. One more from the chat, and then I'll go to you. Is it Denali? I'll go to you in a minute. One more follow-up question about the samples. If we're submitting multiple scripts, you want us to combine them into one or submit multiple files? I think you should submit multiple files so then we can tell which one is which script. If you do end up putting them in one PDF, if that's what the portal will allow you to do, make sure they're delineated so we know when one starts and when one stops. And so Denali, is this your question? In general, are most of the additional funding opportunities due December 1st or later in the new year? Is that your question?
Oh, there we go. I had a different question.
Okay, let's hear the different one first. Yeah.
I was wondering if you guys had any internship opportunities within the program, or if you ever sponsored any internship opportunities that a student might find elsewhere to do over the summer.
It's we do have in the Creative Schools graduate program structure, there is an internship course that you can take. Our MFA students only take nine courses that are required. You can take, I think, Elaine, up to 11 courses total, or 12 maybe. So you can take like up to 3 electives over the course of the 2 years. I wouldn't advise doing it in the fall the first year because it's so busy, but internship can be one of those. And I've got a student right now who's applied to go into that internship course in a different grad school as an elective. So she could get credit for an internship that she has secured. Do we pair students with people on a regular basis as internships and guarantee them? The answer is no. Only because you can imagine it's feast or famine. And right now in the script writing world, I hate to say it, but things have contracted, since the strike, since COVID, since Netflix decided they were going to just burn off their library and not hire anybody new for a little while. It's hard to secure internships on a guaranteed basis. That said, we've had certain entities come to us every year to say we're looking for 2 or 3. And so that's a big application process. It's a bit of a scramble, but there are. So the short answer is yes, there usually are opportunities. And yes, you can take that internship course as an elective. But no, we don't guarantee it. I hope that helps. Yeah.
Thank you.
The other question I want to quickly answer is sometimes students come into the program thinking, this is where I'm going to get my short film produced. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into this MFA and I'm going to get cameras. I'm going to get lights. I'm going to get a crew. I'm going to, probably not. This is a script writing program. And when we apply for this, and the Ontario government is the one that basically says, yes, you can do this at the end of the day, because it doesn't conflict with other programs that are out there. That's the key, right? In Canada, if you have a program that's being proposed, it can't openly compete on the same turf as other schools in Ontario, because then you'd have to the highest bidder kind of a program like the States. That said, we have distinguished ourselves by being a script writing program, not a production program. If you do find people in the program who want to help you produce your film, by all means, you can do it. You might even be able to get some equipment out of the place. Those tend to be reserved for the production programs. But there is something called RUTV. It's also now called TMUTV. I think it's called TMUTV, where you can apply if you've got a show you've written, like students 2 years ago wrote a series, short series, like web series. and they pitched it to this entity and they approved it, and then they got to shoot it. They got to shoot the pilot through their resources. So it is possible, but the MFA doesn't guarantee production resources. And your other question about funding opportunities, Elaine, do you know the answer to this for Denali? Are most additional funding opportunities due December 1st or later in the new year? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the one that is due December 1st, that one is a SHRC for domestic applicants only. So this one you need to submit your application right now if you are eligible. So that's only applies to fall 2025 next year. And in your second year, you can apply it again. But that time we will notify you, sometime in September, October before the December 1st deadline. For the bridging device, that one is April 1st, 2025. So that's for next year. For the OGS, TMGS that I mentioned, that is, you don't need to apply in the second year. If you submit an application to the Scriptwriting by the January 2025 deadline, a computer application, if you're eligible, we double calculate your cumulative GPA in your last 2 years. And then if you're eligible, we will include your admissions application for competition. That's where sometimes in end of February, early March, and then we will have that results in early May next year. So the ones that you really need to focus on, and if you are eligible to apply, is the bridging device, April 1st, 2025 deadline, and then the upcoming one is SHRC, 27,000 for one academic year for domestic applicants. So that is coming up December 1st.
Thank you for that. Got 2 questions in the chat, one from Alice that I just answered. If you've taken courses with any of the current faculty members in the MFA, can you use them as our reference? If they agree, the answer is yes, of course. Nayla, what do you look for in a good script? Any tips on how to make our script stand out? I like swordplay. I'm kidding. I don't know. Like that's, I'm being funny. I hope I am. I don't see too many people laughing. It depends on the reader, but I will tell you what we look for in a, I would say in a script that would get attention from the committee who's bringing people into the program is a clear indication of your voice. What kind of stories do you like to tell? And the script doesn't have to be good by some person's standards. Take it from me. When I was in the industry, I read every script in the country for many years. I'm not saying that as a badge of honor. It was hard work, but I read so many scripts, and what's good to me is not good to somebody else. So we kind of agree at the MFA that more than one person reads these scripts. At least 2, sometimes 3 committee members will read the scripts, and they'll talk about it. They'll say, well, what's good about this? Well, I like the story. Yeah, this character might not be working or something, but the intent of the story, the territory they're in, or the craft, or the voice, right, is kind of what we're looking for. So, I don't really know what a good script is, except that it's well crafted and represents the kinds of stories that you like to tell. Does that help? I hope. Rachel is asking, how many students are in the program each year, and how many applications do you get? We have anywhere from 11 to 14 in the program. There was 1 year where we had 15. It was a big year. And we get approximately 50 or 60 applicants a year, I think, Elaine, about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are like serious applicants. So it can be pretty competitive, but there are, our sort of sweet spot is 12 students, but 12 to 14 is kind of the range that we look for. It's nice because when you have that size of class, you can do story rooms, you can do writers' tables, you can do those kinds of things, and everybody gets a chance, and you have direct access to the profs and things like that.
Yeah. Justin asked about the December 1st deadline for international applicants. Yes, so for 2 reference that we're asking for, that's a part of the application package. So if you are aiming for December 1st deadline, then we're also asking for the 2 reference. We only the graduate admissions will only pre-access the applications once your application is complete. That's including everything we mentioned in the admission requirements, that including 2 reference. So you might need to reach out to your referees and make sure that they submit the reference on your behalf by the same deadline that you are applying to complete your application. Good question. So if you guys don't have any questions, or you have any questions later on when you submit an application or work on your application, you can always reach out to the program. Email address FMA scriptwriting at torontomu.ca. I'm gonna resend that here again. If you have any questions that are really specific to Michael, you can always reach out to Michael as well. Thank you very much for joining the session, and I look forward to receiving your application.
Thank you so much, everybody.